Let's talk about what your excuses are costing you as a model. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Lola Shell. I'm an internationally working, multi-agency represented full-time model, and I coach busy women just like you on how to get back into modeling and book paid work. So if you're into that, follow for more. I would be remiss if I did not share this quote that has been near and dear to me ever since I learned it. When you argue your limitations, you get to keep them. When you argue your limitations, you get to keep them. This is not just true in life, it's true for your modeling career. I hear so many of you guys in the DMs telling me about all the reasons why you haven't been able to be a model. You don't have an agency, you don't have the right look, you're not in the right location, you weigh too much, you're too short, nobody's ever supported you in your family, you can't do this because you're in school, you can't do this because you have a job. You have told me all of your limitations. And what's so crazy to me is that every single limitation you guys have told me, I have actively either coached a model who had the same limitation or was on a paid set with a model who had your same limitations. And guess what? Those limitations, those obstacles, they turned them into opportunities. They didn't argue them. They didn't try to say, oh, well, because I'm not 5'9", I just can't model. No, they figured out how they could model even though they weren't 5'9". They didn't say, oh, because I'm a little bit heavier than I was in college, I can't model. No, they didn't. They actually just figured out how to model at their current weight. They didn't let their job, they didn't let their location, they didn't let having kids, they didn't let having anything stop them from actually figuring out how to model where they are. That's the problem. When you argue your limitations, you get to keep them. And unfortunately, many of you say you want to model. Many of you guys say that you're aspiring models. Many of you guys say modeling's a dream, but you will argue me down about every single thing you think is keeping you from modeling when that's just your opportunity to get started. That's just your opportunity to get started. That's just your opportunity to get started. If you think that you're too tall or too short, there is a type of modeling that will fit you at that level. If you think that, oh my gosh, my weight is the problem, there's a type of modeling that will fit you at that level. When you think that it's your location, there's a type of modeling that will work for you where you are. When you think it's because you don't have an agency, there's literally clients who will pay you even without one. When you argue your limitations, you get to keep them. When you only focus on the excuses, you will never actually accomplish your goals. Like, I actually just got off of a live talking about, like, oh man, this is what waiting is costing you. And I felt so bad because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even tell them, like, it's not just waiting, it's the excuses that are causing them to wait. It's all the excuses you're using that's causing you to wait. That's what's always going to keep you waiting. I had to come back on here before I hop on one of my coaching calls with one of the busy women that I'm coaching one-on-one. But I literally have to let you guys know, if you argue your limitations, you get to keep them. And I have to keep saying that because I think that so oftentimes we'll hear something and we're like, yeah, I know that. But when we really take the time to break it down, do you? Like, if this is a dream of yours, why would you argue everything that's going to keep it from being a reality? If modeling is a dream of yours, why would you hold yourself back from making it a reality? Why would you argue that the reason you can't do something is something that you can't change about yourself or aren't going to change about yourself, versus just figuring out how to do the thing that you want to do as you are? I'll never forget, I was in the DMs with a model who was telling me, like, yeah, I was asking her, like, hey, thanks for following us. Like, how long have you been a model? What are some of the struggles? And we got to talking. And, I was just like, oh, okay, because she's just like, she's been struggling, right, to get paid work. And I'm like, oh, well, what have you done so far to try? And she's like, well, I do some photo shoots in my room, and yeah, I try to, like, put myself out there as a model. And I say, oh, I mean, like, that sounds like a plan. Like, why isn't it giving you the results of getting paid work? And she's like, oh, well, because I don't have a professional portfolio. Oh, because, I don't have an agency yet. Oh, because my skin's not clear. And I was just like, I've literally helped models get paid bookings from cell phone digitals that they took themselves. And they didn't have an agency and they didn't have clear skin. Like, what do you mean the reason that you can't get a paid job is because you don't have a professional portfolio, an agency, or clear skin? There's somebody right now who doesn't have a professional portfolio, doesn't have an agency, and doesn't have clear skin, who's getting paid to model. Like, what are we talking about? Like, what are we talking about? And inevitably, whenever I bring to a model, hey, whatever you think is limiting you isn't really the limitation. Always an argument. Always an argument. Always a, oh, well, I just don't have the money for X, Y, and Z. And it's just like, who said anything about money? I teach busy women how to take their digitals on their cell phone for free. And we turn that into paid modeling jobs. I don't understand. Like, where do you think this money is coming from? Like, you're not even doing the stuff that you can do with the money that you're not spending. Like, I don't understand. Every single time I converse with a model in the DMs who feels like there's this big grand reason why they just haven't been able to make it as a model, normally the solution doesn't cost money. Normally the solution isn't difficult. It's something they could have done in a day, right? And what I always find out is that a lot of models don't know what they don't know. And because they don't know what they don't know, they don't actually ask the questions necessary to get the answers that they need to get the results that they want. They would rather, right, have the excuses, have somebody tell them, oh, don't worry about that. I'm going to transform you overnight. You're going to be a billionaire, right? They would rather pursue that than actually figure out, okay, why exactly do you want to model, right? Did you ever set any goals? Maybe let's figure out what actually fits you where you are, right? Like all the things that I teach models, of course, when I work with them one-on-one, but these are things that I talk about in the university for free. Like modeling niches, paid model jobs, what works in your market. We had a free membership for that. It's still free. If you go to themodeluniversity.com/resources, we got a free podcast. We got a free blog. We got a free membership. We have a free masterclass. We have all these free things that would still give you the fundamentals you need to make money. But when you argue your limitations, you get to keep them. Every day that you tell yourself, oh yeah, I just can't be a model because of my height, you get to stay not being a model because of your height. Every day that you wake up and say, oh yeah, my job is the reason I can't model, you will continue to have the job that keeps you from modeling. Every single day that you wake up and you say, it's because I don't have an agency that I can't be a model, you get to keep not being a model and making money because you don't have an agency. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's somebody right now with the same obstacle that has turned it into an opportunity. There's somebody right now who's working the same amount of hours that you're working at your job and they still know how to make money as a model. There's somebody right now who's your same height and sometimes shorter who literally knows how to book a paid job. There's somebody right now who lives in a small town just like you who still gets paid to model. And the only difference is they're not letting the obstacle stay the obstacle. They're using it as an opportunity to make money as a model. Now, if you're not willing to invest the time, you're going to invest the money, right? I invested the time to figure out what worked for me, right? I did. I invested years to figure out what was going to fit me as I was and where I was, because I had excuses too, right? I was going to school full time. I was working a job. I was working an internship. I was pulling 17-hour days, right? And I still decided I wanted to model. I realized I wasn't going to ever be over 5'9". I realized I was never going to relocate to New York. I realized that I wasn't going to quit school to pursue modeling. I realized I wasn't going to quit my job to keep modeling, right? So I had all the excuses to not pursue modeling. I had all the excuses to stay unpaid. I had all the excuses to do exactly what you're doing right now with your excuses. I had all the excuses necessary to argue my limitations and keep them. But instead, I just figured out what was going to work for me right there. What was going to work for me if I only had an hour a day to dedicate to modeling? What was going to work for me if I only had 2 days out of the week where I could actually do paid job? What was going to work for me if I never got an agency? What was going to work for me if I didn't have the professional portfolio? What was going to work for me as I wasn't where I was, regardless of the excuses? And because I took the time to figure out what was going to work for me as I was and where I was, I have a full-time modeling career. I stopped arguing my limitations and I used every obstacle to turn it into an opportunity every time. If you ever want to do that, again, we're a DM away. If you've never modeled before and you actually want to take it seriously and know that you can make money from it, let's jumpstart your modeling career in 30 days. Give me 30 minutes a day, 30 days straight. Let's get you a career you understand and can make money from. If you've already done this before, you know spring chicken, okay? You've done this before, you're seasoned, but you don't want to get burned again. You're already busy and you want to make sure that you can get that next booking and the one after that and the one after that. By all means, DM us the word earn. Let's actually put together a step-by-step process so that you can not only make money now with your current workload, caseload, family load, all the loads, but you can continue to make money no matter what happens in your life. That's all. And for anybody who's joined the live, a little bit later, anybody who's joined the live and, you missed a lot of the great gems that we dropped, a lot of this content we've already put out in the university. We put it out in the podcast. You can listen to that as fast or as slow as you want to. We put it out in the masterclass. You can listen to that as fast or as slow as you want to. We put it out in the blog. You don't have to listen. You can just read. Hello, right? Like, there's so many other tools for you. But it's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to argue your limitations, or if you're going to get out of the excuses and use every obstacle and turn it into an opportunity. Totally up to you. No matter what you decide, we got a resource for you. All right. We got a resource for you time and time and time again. All right. If you personally know that, like, man, this is just a lot of information, I don't know what to do first, go to themodeluniversity.com/resources. There is a free podcast. There's a free membership. There's a free blog. There is a free breakdown for the podcast. There are so many free things that you can be getting into and apply them to your career as needed. Right. If you need more than just information, because remember, information without implementation is just entertainment. If you learn something, but you don't do anything with what you learned, it's just something cool to know. A fun fact, if you will. It's just a fun fact, if you will. But if you actually want to take the education that you're learning and apply it and make sure that you actually get the results from it, one-on-one coaching. If you're just getting started, this is a dream, you want to make it into a reality, DM us the word START. If you've done this before, but you actually want to make sure that you'll be successful the next time you get back into it, DM us the word EARN. Either way, I look forward to helping many more models like you, whether it's through our free resources or through one-on-one coaching. I'll talk to you guys on the next one.